Hey all, welcome to Spirits and Cousins with Tish and Courtney. I'm Courtney, and you'll get just me for this short episode today, where we get to talk about Samhain and the thinning of the veil. Before I get into the thinning of the veil, I first want to talk with you guys about the origins of Halloween. And the origin of Halloween is the old ways of Samhain, and that was a Gaelic festival, where people would wear costumes and keep bonfires lit to ward off the spirits and ghosts. They would go from house to house dressed up as the mischievous spirits that emerged through the thin veil between the worlds and ask for food. They would often carve turnips, hollow them out, and use them as a lantern. And clearly it's evolved. In the U.S. today, we still have the costumes. People go asking for food, and they typically have some type of a gadget that lights their way, whether it's a flashlight, a glow stick, or perhaps even a jack-o'-lantern. Samhain marks the end of harvest season and the beginning of the darker half of the year. It falls on October 31st, which back then began at sunset and continued to sunrise on November 1st. It is also halfway between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. Because of this transition with harvest season waning, the days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer. That's what's creating this thinning of the veil that occurs throughout the month of October, but it's at its thinnest point on October 31st. Then this year, this October, we had some other interesting cosmic things happen, such as we had the solar eclipse on October 25th, we had the lunar eclipse on October 28th, and of course the full moon on October 28th, 29th. So this is made for a lot of really intense energy, and if you've been feeling especially tired, this might be why. For those of you who are more sensitive like me, you might be noticing some different things happening, such as you see shadows or movement out of the corner of your eye, your peripheral. You might hear some things and look around and notice that no one is there. You might have some very vivid dreams and even experience loved ones who've passed away visiting you at night. This time of year makes it so much easier to communicate with our loved ones who are on the other side. So here are some things you can do in an attempt to have some really neat experiences. Just before you go to sleep, have a mindful moment and set an intention of who you would like to come visit you during your dreams. Next, set your intention that when you do have these dreams, that upon waking, you will remember them. But if you're anything like me, you will have a notebook or an app ready to go so you can write it down upon waking. There are many different ways that your loved ones can come through and signal to you that they're around you. One of my favorite ways is when I'm driving and I look around at the license plates and I see some familiar words or even numbers. Or perhaps you're listening to the radio or your music app and the next song that comes in was your grandma's favorite song. Those are signs that they're around you, watching over you, and loving on you. One of the ways that a loved one came to me after they'd passed was through streetlights. And that was actually really funny because I remember noticing that one in particular streetlight would turn off and on when I was around. And of course, I don't know if it happened when I wasn't around, so I kind of chalked it up to that there was a problem happening with the power in that area, or maybe the light bulb was going dead. But then a little bit of information came to me, and it suggested that perhaps a loved one who had passed away was behind this light turning off and on. So I went up to the light and started to ask it questions. When it said yes, the light turned on, and no meant the light was off. And pretty soon I figured out that it was one of my favorite loved ones who had passed away. We had some really neat conversations through the street lights. And it was so amazing having that connection. I felt so honored and lucky that my grandpa and I were able to connect in such a unique and different way. We connected that way for over a year, and it was such a neat experience. I hope that you're able to connect with your loved ones this Samhain and enjoy your time with them. As usual, if you'd like to get a hold of us and tell us about your paranormal and spirit experiences, please email us, spiritsandcousins@gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram or TikTok, and our handle is Spirits and Cousins. Thank you so much for listening. Happy Samhain.